Intel is one of the greatest companies in the history of modern computing, and it looks like there are some signs that a pretty desolate future is starting to get a lot brighter. I'm Jason Hall. This is Investing Unscripted. I'm going to dig into what's going on with the business, why it struggled, and why I think its prospects look pretty decent from here. Before we get into the details, though, we get to make these videos because we have a great partnership with the Motley Fool. Motley Fool sponsored this video, and if you're looking for even more great stock ideas, go check out our special link. It's fool.com/unscripted. Go check out fool.com/unscripted, and you can get access to the Motley Fool's 10 best stocks to buy right now. The Motley Fool has a great reputation helping investors get smarter, happier, and richer. We get to make these videos because of that partnership. I think you'll be glad to go check out that link. Here's Intel stock since the beginning of the year. A series of big announcements in the past few weeks have sent shares rocketing. But if we step back in time a little bit, coming out of the pandemic, and this is a tale of a stock that still has a long way to go just to get back to break even. Okay, so what's going on with Intel's business? What are the struggles? What do the future prospects look like? Well, you almost certainly know that Intel has lost a tremendous amount of ground to the likes of Nvidia as AI has become the story of modern computing in GPUs that are used in cloud infrastructure and used for AI training. That's certainly part of the story and not a small part of it. There's more to the picture. Now, we see on this chart Intel's revenue coming through the pandemic. There was a tremendous boom for so many computer makers. PC sales went up a ton, and Intel was right in the middle of it and did extraordinarily well. But revenue has fallen a massive amount since then, basically a third from the peak, but we can't just entirely blame AI for that. AMD, they make x86 based processors too, is a big chunk of their business. AMD has been steadily taking bites away from Intel's strength, both in PCs, but also in servers for many, many years. So what happened? A couple of things. Number one, Intel, this vertically integrated business where we design all of the chips, we manufacture the chips, we do the packaging. That model doesn't really work in the modern world of computing anymore. Computing has shifted to more organizations designing their own chips. Think about Apple, Samsung. So many companies design their own chips, and Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing has established itself as the dominant chip maker in the world. They don't design a single chip, but man, they're good at manufacturing them, getting great margins because they are the low-cost leader in the world. They have cost advantages and pricing power because they know if you come to them with your chip design, they're going to be able to manufacture it more cheaply than if you were to do it yourself. As a result, Intel has just lost a tremendous amount of business. Instead of companies coming to it and buying what it has off the shelf, so many companies have wanted to have more control over the products that they design and build. So all of that was going on in the background over the past decade, and Intel was losing that battle even as artificial intelligence began ramping up and turning Nvidia into the most valuable company on earth. So here we are today. What's changed? Intel has started to figure things out. Pat Gelsinger laid the groundwork of breaking up the vertically integrated business, separating that manufacturing business from the design business, creating a modern foundry to compete with TSMC. The problem was that Gelsinger laid the groundwork, but the company really struggled to find anybody that wanted to partner with them as a manufacturer besides Intel's own design business, which of course is still using Intel's foundries to do the manufacturing. Now, what's changed? The US federal government has acknowledged the reality that for national defense purposes, the US really needs a vibrant, innovative, and strong semiconductor manufacturing industry. More recently, we've seen President Trump and the Trump administration really lean in, but the Biden administration before that laid some of the initial groundwork to try to fund and build out domestic semiconductor manufacturing. More recently, we've seen tremendous amount of political pressure that's helped. We've seen SoftBank step forward with a big deal to partner with Intel and invest in Intel. Nvidia is investing in Intel and also partnering with it for some integrated AI products. That's a giant step. And I want to say that that might be the biggest positive for Intel, because if Intel can actually get Nvidia to be one of its manufacturing partners, that could go a long, long way towards getting the credibility for Intel's foundry business for it to become a trusted partner for more companies designing their own silicon. So you put those things together, and that's a step forward. I want to show another chart here that really puts the math out there to how some positive things have happened. I showed this chart earlier that showed the big decline in revenue that Intel has experienced over the past few years. I'm going to pull revenue off here, and I'm going to put a couple of other things on. Now, Intel's debt profile got uglier and uglier as its cash came down and its debt load went up because the company was having to spend money to stay innovative to try to regain some of the edge that it lost against AMD, and was having to take on debt to do that. Now, what we've seen more recently, I'm just going to share the past year, because of those partnerships with Nvidia, SoftBank, the partnerships with the federal government. Well, Intel's added about $11 billion in cash to its books, even as the debt has started to come down. Now, this isn't free cash flow generator from the operations of the business, but those new partnerships are starting to put more money in the coffers. And that's money that Intel sorely, sorely needs to be able to continue investing in its business, to build out its capacity, and to have that innovative manufacturing to still have a really important role in the future. Okay, all of that to answer the question, where is Intel and Intel stock going to be in 5 years from now? We're going to pull one more chart back up here. We got that revenue line again, $53 billion in revenue over the past year, peaked about 5 years ago at around $80 billion in sales. Market cap now is about $190 billion, was worth, some $250 billion about 5 years ago. So there is still a long way to go to recover its market cap. All right, where can the stock be 5 years from now? I'm going to make a bold prediction that Intel can get back to generating $80 billion of revenue 5 years from now. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, but if the promise of AI comes close to being what we think it can be, there's going to be a tremendous amount of need for more compute. And that's not just going to be the GPUs that are powering AI. We're still going to need these multi-purpose CPUs that are so important to the way that humans use computers, that is going to be really, really important to the future of computing with AI. And I think Intel is starting to position itself to play a big role in that. I think as a result, the bottom may not be in for revenue, but I think it's probably really close. We're going to start seeing revenue grow again as some of the partnerships that it's signing start to result in foundry customers actually paying it to manufacture products. Profits are probably still going to be a few years before we see them recover, but we get 5 years out. I think this is going to be a pretty solidly profitable business. I think the stock is probably going to go up from here. Is it going to beat the market? I don't think it's going to double over the next 5 years. I think the stock could be up 50% over the next 5 years. Is that beating the market? Maybe, maybe not. I think investors are going to make money from here, but expecting this to be a massive winner from here might be a little bit too much to ask. I think that's a little bit harder to predict.